Hello, everybody. My name is Kobe Warner. This is the Koblizzy podcast, and I am so happy to be back once again for another episode. This is episode 53. There is tons of exciting things to discuss today, including this week's episode of SNL that happened on Saturday, featuring Jacob Elordi, Reneé Rapp, Rachel McAdams, Megan Thee Stallion. It was stacked. I'm also going to talk about some fantastic movies that I watched in the past week. And I'm going to talk about how I've been going live on TikTok recently, which you can watch if you follow me at koblizzy. So all this and more in this week's episode of Koblizzy, episode 53. But before I get into any of that, I'm going to start once again, as per usual, with the song of the week. Now, I haven't actually been listening to like a lot of new music so far this year, and I also made that 12 songs that I last week I did the 12 songs playlist, and like so that kind of wiped me out of all the new songs I've been listening to. So I've been listening a lot to Pretty Isn't Pretty by Olivia Rodrigo, which is not something that I just heard recently, but I really like the vibe of that song, and I don't think I appreciated it as much as I could have when I first listened to the album. I don't know. I just kind of like listened over that track. It's at near the end. I just missed it. I don't know. It's a really, really good song. Super nostalgic kind of vibe and sound. Yeah, so that's a great song. I also am really vibing to Honest by Koblizzy. I don't know if you know Koblizzy. They're this really great artist who makes really good music, and Honest is a great song. You should listen to it. I also love Ben Platt's live cover of Take Me to the Pilot by Elton John. That's a bop. I've been loving Regardless by Ray. That is from her first pop project when she was like shackled to the label. And even when she had to make music she didn't want to make, it was still good because Regardless is a bop. So those are some songs I've been listening to. I don't know if I've mentioned any of them before. I might have, but that's what's going on. Really what I want to talk about is my performance of the week. And that is definitely going to Reneé Rapp and her 2 SNL performances. Many artists have famously said that SNL is like so live. Like Adele, there's this one funny performance or like this funny moment in an Adele SNL performance where she like makes a face at the camera, and she says later that she didn't realize it was that live. And like, I don't know, SNL is just really, 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 really live. And the mics are always on. That's the thing about SNL. I don't know if people lip sync there or if they can get away with that. So some people don't sound that great. Reneé Rapp, however, is not falling victim to that. She sounded incredible. She sang Snow Angel first. She was introduced by Jacob Elordi, who was the host this week, while Reneé Rapp, of course, was a musical guest. Jacob Elordi, we talked about Saltburn. You already know how I feel about him. It was The Kissing Booth. It was Euphoria. It was Priscilla. It's Saltburn. I'm obsessed with him. He has so many movies on the horizon that are coming out, and I think I'm going to continue to be obsessed with Jacob Elordi, but that is truly neither here nor there. He introduced Renee's first performance. That was Snow Angel, and she sang her face off. Snow Angel is the title track from her debut album, and I don't think it was the first single. I think Talk Too Much was actually from that album, but Snow Angel was a single, and it's one of the most insane vocal performances on the album, but in general, it kind of is just like, what is going on? She has the Mariah Carey effect where she switches from belts to head voice that's very gentle and beautiful and high very quickly, but she also belts really high with so much power, and she will switch back and forth really fast. And I think those register changes, when executed well and properly, are super impactful. So the cut from the album is an incredible track. It's a gorgeous studio recorded track. But baby, she got on SNL and she laid them vocals down. Now, me and Lindsay saw Reneé in Atlanta at the Eastern. I don't remember if that was, I think it was the Eastern. And we saw her live and she was incredible. Her vocal performances there were amazing. She was so incredible. But SNL, I'm like, it's a lot of people, millions. It's nerve-wracking, I imagine. But no, she got out there and sang her face off. Snow Angel was amazing. And she started laying down. And that was truly like the most pristine part of the performance. And she was laying down. She's really just everything. I'm so excited to watch her star rise. I think she's going to get a lot of new fans from SNL. Her second song was introduced by Rachel McAdams. She's been talking about Rachel McAdams all the time recently in her press for Mean Girls, obviously, because they're playing the same character. But she keeps saying like, oh, date me, and oh, she's hot, and this and that or whatever. And Rachel McAdams flew her little behind to New York, or I don't know where she lives. Maybe she lives in New York. But she was in New York, and she went to SNL, and she introduced Reneé Rapp's performance of the Mean Girls single, Not My Job. So that's not what it's called. It's called Not My Fault. Not My Job is a song by Flo. That's a UK R&B group. 3 girls. Not my fault. Not my friend. Not my fault. What? Not My Fault features Megan Thee Stallion. So it was Reneé, Megan Thee Stallion, introduced by Rachel McAdams. It was so funny. The performance was literally great. There was even this one moment where Megan was a little early on the choreography, and it was just so funny because I'm just like, that's how you know it's live. But it was really a great performance. Both of them, Renee singing her face off, dancing. She looked sexy. Megan obviously was giving body, and she just looked so good. And I love that they're friends. I love that they made this bop. I loved the song, and Not My Fault, despite the fact that I can't remember the title. I actually do listen to it all the time. So I'm really just, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens for Renee. And I'm excited to listen to more music because she is truly such a marvel. And her vocal performances, I mean, are really second to none of these new pop girls. No, I don't think there is a new girl in pop that sings like Renee. I don't. A new one. I do not. And I'd stand on business saying it with my chest. So speaking of my chest and how I just raised my hand up, this little cute bracelet that I'm wearing, let me get you a good little view. I've been making these for years, since me and my friend Alicia had a craft business in middle school. But I picked it back up like 2 years ago, 2022, a year and a half ago, and I started making them again. And recently I've been going live on TikTok recently is what I was trying to say. And I was like, what do I do? Like, you just sit there and listen to music and talk to people. But I was like, what else can I do? I'll get bored. Like, I need something to stimulate me if I'm going to sit here and just sit, you know? And so I was like, well, maybe I could just make these bracelets. They're pretty simple and da-da-da and whatever. And people really were into that. And I had never had lives where people really watched like that until I went live making these bracelets. So this is the one on my wrist, but I'll show you some other ones that I made before I get into the movies that I'm going to talk about that I watched this past week. So they're not just bracelets. I have them, you see on my bag. I use these on my bag to like hang it on the door handle, like I just had it over there, or hang it on something else. And then they look kind of cute even. I even have them on my water bottles. I didn't mean to hit the microphone. I have them on my water bottles. I have one water bottle over there that has one. And I just showed you this one. Let me put this on the floor. And now I'll show you some other bracelets that I made. Just some highlights, because there's fully 40, almost 50 bracelets in this bag. So this green one is really cute. It's double green. This one's cute. This obviously is only going to be seen by you if you're watching the video on YouTube or Spotify. This black and yellow one's cute. I'll tell you the colors. This one's like light green and dark green. If you're not watching the video, this one's like medium blue and black, and this one's yellow and black, banana yellow. This one's, oh, that one's not my favorite. This one's really cute. It's grape purple and cherry red. Some of these color combinations are by request of the folks on TikTok. This one's periwinkle blue and gray. So yeah, there's just some cute bracelets in here. Let me see if there's another one that I really, really like that I want to show. Yeah, there's some multicolored like paracords in here. It's like this one. I think this color's called like unicorn or something, and it's unicorn and white. It's like pink, purple, and blue, a mixture in one strand, if you're not watching the video. And then I'll show you, I have a red and white one. Ow, I hit my finger. I have a red and white one like on my beats. I literally use these things for everything. And I think I'm going to start selling them. Everybody on TikTok's like, can I buy one? Can I buy one? Can I buy one? And so I think I'm going to have to figure out a way to sell them to people, and I don't really know how I'm going to do it yet. But if you would like one, then you should go follow me on TikTok. That's at koblizzy, same title as this podcast, KOBLIZZY. And you can also watch me go live if you want to. I've been doing that like definitely on the evening of the weekends, and sometimes during the week. You should just follow me and you'll see it. Anyway, back to my list. I saw 3 movies in the past week, and I am not a movie critic. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but I tell like people in my life this all the time. I love to watch movies. The reason I go to the AMC like all the time, not every movie is a 10 out of 10. You don't sit down and you're like, wow, that's the best movie I've ever seen. Especially when you go see literally almost every movie that they show at the theaters. You're going to get a dud once in a while. But I am not a movie critic. In the same way, I am not a music critic. If I like a song, if it has good vibes, if it makes me feel something, if it evokes an emotion, positive, negative, or otherwise, if it impacts me, that to me is a successful piece of art. no matter what it may be. And so a movie doesn't have to be a cinematic masterpiece, 10 out of 10, perfect screenwriting, the best dialogue ever, the most gorgeous actors, the best plot, the most real driven story, whatever it may be. It can just be good. It can just be fun. It can just be cute. It can just be camp. It can just be, scary. It can just be whatever. And so, with that being said, I can honestly say with my entire being, the past 3 times that I've went to the AMC in the past week, I have seen some of the best movies, unequivocally, some of the best movies that I've seen since I've been obsessively movie watching for the past couple of years, since the pandemic. And they're very different movies, and so that's why I'm really excited to talk about the 3 of them. There's an incredible difference in between these 3 films I'm about to mention, but they were all 3 so really, really good. And if you haven't seen, I recommend all 3 very much so. Some of them are in the theater, some of them are on streaming, etc. So I'm just going to get into it in no particular order. Actually, yes, in a particular order, in the order that I watched them. The first movie that I went to see last Thursday, I think, was The Iron Claw. Now, it's a movie about professional wrestlers. I don't really know anything about wrestling. I don't particularly like the fake wrestling on TV, or the staged wrestling on TV rather. And I didn't know anything about the Von Erich family, which is the family who the true story of the movie is based off of. And that movie was incredible. It stars Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White and Harris Dickinson and some other people. And it was, it was really an amazing movie. I was shocked. I'm not going to spoil anything about it because I don't want you guys to not be able to watch these films, but it's just Zac Efron is an incredible actor. And obviously we've been watching him on screen for years, but he really has the acting chops. He was great in this movie. Harris Dickinson, I'm new to, but he's in a Hulu movie that I'm actually halfway through watching right now, called The Triangle of Sadness. That's also really good, but I haven't finished it yet, so I'm not going to talk about that one. But he's also an Iron Claw. Harris Dickinson's performance was incredible. Everybody in this movie really was giving, and the stakes were so high, and there was so much pressure, and it was so shocking, and so many crazy things happened. It was a really fantastic movie. So The Iron Claw is the first one that I watched this past week where I was just wow. It made me cry a little bit, and I was just wow, this is crazy. So I just really like that movie because it just came out. I don't want to say too much about it because I want to give you the chance to see it. So that's number 1. However, the next one, number 2, I'm going to go into much more detail because it's been out for a long time. So Soul is an animated Disney movie that came out during the pandemic in 2020. And because it came out during the pandemic, it did not have the ability to have a gigantic theatrical release. And a lot of people, side note, recently I still have a Twitter account. You can follow me if you want to, at koblizzy. But I only will open the website on my computer. I had to get the app off my phone because I just feel like people on Twitter are too opinionated and they yell to, and that's funny because I'm on a podcast giving my opinion, but they're so hateful about it and it drives me up a wall and I just cannot consume it anymore. So with that being said, I'm really not reading stuff on Twitter anymore, but I was reading stuff on Twitter about Soul because there's been a recent kind of controversy. Soul came out, like I just said, during the pandemic, but right now Disney is putting it and a couple other movies, I think Luca and something else, in theaters, and they're having a re premiere. It's a theatrical release of a movie that's been out. And I had never seen Soul. I didn't watch it on Disney Plus when it came out in 2020, and I have the A-list AMC membership that I've mentioned 100 times before. And so because I don't have to pay for the ticket, I didn't mind watching a movie in the theater that I could already watch at home with a subscription that I have already. Do you know what I mean? But I felt that I loved the theater experience, and especially for watching a movie for the first time. So I go to the theater to see Soul, and I don't go to the theater that I usually go to. There's one theater that I usually go to that's really nice and has the lean back seats and the IMAX and the Dolby Cinema. And then there's one that's about the same distance away in the other direction that doesn't have all those things. It's a very regular, not renovated AMC. And that's not I just don't go there because the other one's better and it's the same distance away in the other direction. So why would I go to the one if, you know what I mean? But I don't know why I went to this one because the other one wasn't playing Soul. Only the one that was over here that I don't usually go to is playing Soul. So I went there. It was at like 1 o'clock or something, or maybe, no, it was like 3 maybe. The time doesn't matter. But my point is nobody was in this movie. It was a weekday, I think. Or maybe, actually, I don't know what day it was. I don't know why I'm bringing up details that I can't recall that also don't matter. Anyway, so I go in the theater. It's early in the afternoon. There was nobody there. I get in. I sit down. I pull out the Chick-fil-A in my bag that I snuck in. And 2 minutes later, the fire alarm starts going off. And I've never had that happen at a theater. And there's an emergency exit door in the theaters. But I was like, is it really on fire? If there was really a fire, now that I'm looking at it, or like looking back in retrospect, I might have been in trouble. But the fire alarm just starts going off and I'm alone in this theater. And I was like, is there really a fire right now? Like, are you serious? So instead of going out the exit door in the theater, I walked out in the hallway and I looked, and the employees were just kind of like waving us to walk. So we walk, and there's fully a dozen people in the whole theater. So we all go stand outside, and we were just standing there. It was freezing outside, just standing and looking. And then like one of the employees told us we could come back inside. And so I just like, okay, shit, I took that and took it. So I just I walked very quickly too. Like I darted in because I didn't want somebody to say, oh no, don't. And somebody else was like, wait, why'd you let them back in? And she was like, oh, I turned the fire alarm off, nothing's going on. It was just a little bit of smoke. And the other person seemed shocked by this realization, but I just kept walking. Again, if there was really a problem, I would have been in trouble because I sure wasn't asking many questions. So I just sit back down by myself in the theater, and the projector wouldn't play at first because the fire alarm makes it cut off, I guess. And so eventually they got the projector up, but it was playing with no sound. And then right before the movie came on like one of the last previews, the sound just came back on. So it was perfect timing. And then Soul starts. It's an animated movie. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I did. And it's, first of all, the main character is a black dude, which is cool because the only other movie I think on out of Disney animation that has a lead black character that's of the Disney like animated princess Pixar universe is The Princess and the Frog. So I was excited to watch the movie for that reason. Also, it was about jazz music, so there was a lot of music in it. That movie made me cry my eyes out. The premise of, I just got goosebumps. The premise of this movie is basically about dying and living your life always pining after something that, I mean, potentially could not come. But you spend, it's not that you shouldn't dream, but it's that you live your life devoted to this one thing that you want, and then you realize that once you get there, maybe it's not everything that you seem. And then once you have everything that you want, you look around and realize that you abandon everything that you actually really needed just to get what you want. And I sat in that theater and I cried my eyes out. It was like, I'm gonna have to watch it again, and I want to watch it again soon just because it was like that good, and it's on Disney Plus. But oh my God. And what's sad is that, like I said, I got off Twitter because of all the hate. The reason I was saying that is because Soul specifically, and the decision of Disney to put these movies back in the theater, was getting a lot of hate from like animators and animated movie lovers because they think the animated movies are like lacking in quality. And they also, I mean, factually, Disney's movies, they're not, the movies didn't make any money, or as much as the other movies would, because of the pandemic and because of the release. And so they are like, oh, Disney's desperate to make money because their movies aren't cracking whatever fiscal number, who, this and that. And I really couldn't give a shit about all the corporate capitalism of it or the politics of these companies, because I guarantee you it's shady on that level. I'm talking about this movie, and it's sad to me that this movie got lost in the sauce of, oh, it didn't make enough money. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you haven't seen the movie, you don't know what I mean. But this movie was so incredible to me, and it impacted me so. To see people be like, oh, well, it didn't make $1 billion, or like whatever figure the other movies made. It's like, you guys are so soulless. And no pun intended. Soul is an incredible film. And yeah, whoever said, like, they should, do cartoons get nominated at the Oscars? Like, Oscars. Do the animated films get nominated at the Oscars? Because they damn well should. Like, fucking Soul, man. Maybe it was nominated. Let me look up. Can animated films get nominated for Oscar? So it can't answer my simple question. It can't answer. Sometimes I swear to God, my childhood speech impediment comes out. I'm like, why does that happen? I used to have trouble with like R's and stuff, and that just happened. They can be nominated. So they just disrespect them. That's insane. Anyway, Soul's incredible. Watch it on Disney Plus if you have it, or bootleg it. But you didn't. Just watch it wherever. I don't know. Go to the theater. It's in the theater right now. Watch it however you need to. But it is really amazing. I'm talking about one more movie, folks. That's one more movie. This one just came out. Well, actually, that's not true. It premiered a couple of weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago, but it just started playing in art theaters in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Kennesaw, like this weekend. And I think this weekend. This is the first time I saw it on the theater app. And American Fiction is a new movie. Actually, who is it directed by? I don't even know who directed it, for real, now that I'm thinking about it. American Fiction was directed by... who was it directed by, Mary? The directorial debut? Wow, of Cord Jefferson. Damn, he put his foot in this movie. I told you, these three movies, The Iron Claw Soul and American Fiction, hit me like a truck. I don't know if I've ever watched three movies at the theater in a row that I just got full body goosebumps. I'm not kidding. Like, I get so impacted by art. That's what I'm saying. I don't go in there to judge a movie, but not every movie will give me chills. You know what I mean? But sometimes you just watch a movie and you're like, yeah. Like, these movies were amazing. Soul, man. I'm telling you, Soul. You really should watch that one. It's incredible. And The Iron Claw is amazing. You should see that at the theater too, for sure. But back to American Fiction, the directorial debut of Cord Jefferson. I don't know who this man is. Sorry to this man. If I saw him on the street, I wouldn't know a thing. But he is just, it took the plastic out of the sofa. You know how black folks do. I love Keke Palmer. Like, I quote that lady like it's my job. She is so funny. It's your girl Keke, keep it bad. Wait, it's your girl Keke. It's your girl Keke. It's your girl Keke, keep it. It's your girl keep. Why can't I say it's your girl Keke? Keep a bag, Palmer. The devil work hard, but Keke Palmer work harder. Worldwide legend. Authentic ain't no guessing. I'm realizing I don't know the words to her verse now, but I'm stuck on how I couldn't say Keke PP, Keke PP. I started making my podcast for a couple months and my speech impediment came back. That is crazy. Damn. I need to be talking for real, don't I? I need to be talking. I don't know what that was. ASMR. Back to American Fiction. The directorial debut of Cord Jefferson, starring Tracee Ellis Ross, starring Sterling K. Brown, starring who else? Starring Jeffrey Wright, starring John Ortiz, Erica Alexander, my friend Bella's aunt, Leslie Uggams, Adam Brody Wiley, Issa Rae was in the movie briefly. She played like a supporting character. Keith David, and Myra Lucretia. What's her name? Myra Lucretia Taylor. This was the main lead and supporting cast. I mean, that movie was hilarious. I went into it expecting a comedy, expecting to laugh, and I did. I laughed my ass off. It was so funny. It also had so much heart. It had so much feeling. It had pain. It had love. It had gay people. It had illness. It had social issues. It had an example of what not to do and an example of how not to represent black people and black families. And it had a perfect example of how to do it and how to represent black people, black families, black experiences, black stories, black lives. Because in this age of Blackout Tuesday, in this age of power to the people, I'm not saying that there is not power in solidarity or your Instagram post or your Instagram story activism. But what I notice is that despite all of that, the media still pigeonholes the same black stories. They are still making the 12 Years a Slaves. And I'm not saying, I mean, Sarah Paulson, I love you, but I'm just saying, Sarah, the Harriet movie that I watched a couple of years ago, it's black trauma. And I'm not saying those aren't important stories. I'm not saying we don't need to be telling history. We need to be telling the truth of the history. And then we need to allow people to know it. And then we need to move on and tell positive stories. I just feel like, how are you going to say in one breath to black people, get over it? Racism is old. Slavery is old news. Get over it. And then every movie that's not every movie nowadays, but a lot of the media still being made for the past many years, and honestly up until very recently, was the only type of movie being made exclusively about black people were slave stories and racism stories and Jim Crow and civil rights stories. And you say get over it, but then your studio executives, that's the only stories they want to tell because they're recent, because they pull on your heartstrings, because there is a struggle to overcome, and it's a good story for a good movie. But how are you going to say get over it, it's so long ago, and then give us all this media? And I'm not saying it's the same people doing that. I'm just saying it's like, you guys, you're telling these stories because they're interesting. You also you're telling these stories because people remember this stuff, because it affects people in a way, because it's something that they can recall. Maybe not because they lived through it, but because their grandparents did, or because they've heard the stories of their great grandmother, or because they have done their genealogy and they know that they're what family inherited their people when they came over from Africa, and that's why their last name is their last name. I'm just saying, American Fiction was a fantastic movie about black people. It was a black story, sure, but it was a movie that had black people in it, that featured a storyline everybody can relate to, a plot everybody can understand, and humor that everybody can enjoy, as long as you're not an asshole. I highly recommend American Fiction. It was a marvel. It was a fantastic, well-made, well thought out, well fleshed out, complex, multi-dimensional, beautiful, painful story. It was amazing. It was amazing. I watched it yesterday, and so that's why I have the most pigmented, colored feelings about this movie, because I just watched it and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. So yeah, it was amazing. And also, Carmen Cusack is a Broadway lady. She's saying, I always reference, if you knew my story. That's not the song I reference. I always reference way back in the day. And Carmen Cusack sings that song in a musical called Bright Star. And she made a small cameo in this movie. One of the very few white people. And it was hilarious. So yeah, love the movie. American Fiction. Sorry, I think what I just did might have messed with the mic. Anyway, so those are the 3 movies that I watched at the AMC in the past week, and like I said, very rare do you get a 3 movie streak that is that impactful and that crazy. So I'm really hoping the next movie I go see affects me like that. Like, I hope it's that good, because these movies are going to be hard to top. They're going to be hard to beat. I must be candid. I really must. Really must. So yeah, you guys, that's essentially everything that I wanted to talk about today. I really just wanted to talk about those movies. I wanted to talk about SNL. Jacob Elordi was amazing. Megan Thee Stallion and Reneé Rapp are so sexy and so talented. Such gorgeous, beautiful women that deserve everything that is good. Everything good that can happen to them should happen. And this SNL episode was stacked. It was Rachel McAdams. It was Jacob Elordi. It was Reneé Rapp. It was Megan Thee Stallion. I don't know if I've ever watched an SNL episode more than once, as in rewatched an episode of SNL in its entirety. But this one, baby, that's the T. That's the only option. It was just that good. It was really a great episode. I'm telling you, like, SNL, I think it's honestly getting better with these new cast members, like Bowen Yang, and honestly, I don't remember any of the other ones' names, or if I don't really watch SNL that much, to be honest. But the new cast members and the one lady in that skit where she was shaking the table, it's very, very funny. Also, shout out to Ayo Edebiri. I was listening to Ayo say her name earlier. It's Ayo, and she said Edebiri. Some people said Edebiri, but she says Edebiri. Ayo Edebiri. So shout out to her. I kind of said her name wrong last week. I also said Avantika's name wrong. I said Avantika. She played Karen in Mean Girls. Her name's Avantika. Also, the girl who plays Caddy, her name is not Angari or whatever I said last week. Her name is Angauri. So I was saying a lot of people's name wrong. So I'm sorry to all of those ladies. To Avantika, to Ayo Edebiri. I said Ayo. I didn't say Edebiri. I said Edebiri or something like that. And I was definitely saying Angari and not Angauri. So sorry, ladies. I hate saying people's name wrong, because I hate when people say my name wrong. Everybody deserves the respect of having their name said correctly. So I will be sure to do more research in the future. I do sincerely apologize. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Koblizzy. I had so much fun talking about soul, about American Fiction, and about the Iron Claw. I forgot for a second. Like I said, the song of the week was Regardless, and Regardless and some other things. Pretty Isn't Pretty, and Take Me to the Pilot, Ben Platt, and something else. I really don't remember, you guys, but thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of Koblizzy. That was episode 53. I am Kobe Warner, and that was that. I will see you next Tuesday for another brand new episode. Bye.